Hey Tim, hey, congratulations for Last Looks.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, this movie. We shot it in 2019, so um, I'm very excited that it's finally coming out.
It is so refreshing for a lot of us to get movies out, the one that's were in production before the pandemic.
Yeah, it's so weird. It was so odd because the heady days of 2019, where you could fly around and do what you like, and there we were in Atlanta, sort of sweating away and cooking up this movie, and then the pandemic hits. So yeah, and I was sort of editing it in lockdown, really, and just sort of, well, we'd done a lot of editing before, but just the finishing off, which was interesting. But yeah, super excited for it to go out there.
Most excellent. So tell us what initially drew you to a project like Last Looks.
Sure. Well, I'm sort of known in the industry as a comedy director. So I usually get the comedy scripts and the comedy television, which is all fine. And I love comedy. I'm very comfortable. But the older I get, I'm drawn to different flavors, different experiences. And, as a film addict, cinephile, when I sit down, it's not necessarily comedies that I watch. I watch, film noir, kind of Big Lebowski, the Long Goodbye, Chinatown, French Connection, all these sort of films from the 70s that blew my mind. And you just study them, and you think, wow, how did that, how could that be so elegiac and so beautiful and get away with it, So when this script landed, I was editing a project in LA. I love LA. For all the madness and the carnage that happens there, I'm a big fan. And so when this particular script landed in my digital inbox, I started to read it, and I loved the way it started. It started very still, very minimal. I knew nothing about it. Here's this man, this broken guy, we think, who's very eco, living off the land. Good. That goes on for a couple of pages. Okay, now what's happening? Then it gets a visitor. Okay, and you start to you drip feed this sort of portrait of a tortured, a man with a past. And then it sort of segued into this sort of detective story where every page had so much detail and so much lovely prose and just a joy to read. And I was just seduced by the intricacies of the plot, and this bizarre character called Alistair Pinch, and all the other supporting actors who are very sort of heightened and slightly, there to sort of knock Waldo off. And I just thought it had a lot of interesting themes. And then on top of that, I felt I could add some comedic moments just to add to the madness of LA, where, just to knock Charlie Waldo off his trajectory, really. So I loved it. And Charlie Hunnam the script came to me with him attached. So I met up with him, immediately bonded with him, and the passion for the character and the story was born between us. So we then sort of actively went in pursuit of Alistair Pinch and getting the film put together. But it took a long time, these things take time, and you go off and do something else, and then you get the email saying, oh, this person's read and they like, and slowly it builds up. But I was over the moon when it finally greenlit, because anything can happen. And I really wanted this film to be made, because there's not many like it. And you have the sort of out and out kind of Knives Outy version, Lebowski, which is on a pedestal in my eyes. And I just wanted to sort of just tell the story as best I can, and have many different cinematic tropes in there, and make it entertaining as well. and to work backwards from that end scene, the big showdown, which if you're with the film and you've done your homework, that scene is the crescendo, and it goes on for a while. And I really wanted I just wanted the audience to get to that point, because I thought if I was watching this film and I saw that scene where everything's revealed, and because I don't think anyone would have got every bit of detail. Yeah, it's great. I loved it. I loved the sort of energy that the character has at the end of the film versus the minimalist energy at the beginning.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what I love about this film is because I felt like this was like an ode to the film noir genre as up in a modern setting. Could you talk about developing sort of like a modern film detective noir by because I noticed with you using like the shadows and the pacing, it's a good tribute to those genres.
Yeah, great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I saw The Long Goodbye, which completely worked against the film noir genre, I loved it because I thought it was a really interesting way to show the genre, but by sort of turning it on its head. The reverse of that, the 180 opposite, is obviously The Big Sleep, where you've got Bogey shuffling around and you've got the femme fatale and the camera angles with characters having power and the angle of the character showing that power with harsh lighting, shadows dancing on the wall, faces in half in black. And I really wanted to use and enjoy those cinematic tropes in this film. I thought if you don't put them in, then you're selling it a little bit short, because then it's just a detective story, which I kind of want the audience to feel danger at every single moment. I think I said in one of my press release, I find Los Angeles is a city of doors. There's just a door. You open the door and you could be anywhere and anything can happen, and it's dangerous and it's edgy, and noir lighting, it really accentuates the corruption and the violence is just around the corner. So I wanted to definitely, violence is a theme running through noir, as is corruption, and the hero with no future. So all of that was at play. Some sort of really great themes of redemption, loss of control, and this, at the heart of it, you've got this disillusioned archetype seeking freedom from a psychological bondage to a past event that is leaked out as you sort of follow him through the narrative. And in some of those noir narratives, it's all there. It's there to mine.
Great. Now, I think I saw that it was based off a novel. Could you tell us about the novel and how different this is?
Yeah, I mean, the novel starts in Waldo's woods. He's in a log cabin. It's very similar. It's quite because Howard did the adaptation of the screenplay. It's very faithful to the book, and usually when you do an adaptation, you change it a hell of a lot to make the film or your film. But there was something faithful that myself and Charlie Hunnam and Howard was very open to changing anything, by the way. But the more if you mess with any of the plot, it unmade the narrative, and it could sort of be slightly confusing. There were a few more scenes with Alistair Pinch, and there was a whole storyline. That's right, there's a storyline with Lucy Fry's character, Jane. Her father owns the school that Waldo goes, the kindergarten school. So he's the headmaster. So there's a big storyline that involved him. and he's protecting her because of a sort of dark moment in her past. But so that was in the book, but we took all of that out because we shot it, actually. We shot that storyline, and the poor actor is not in the film, but he was fine, and I emailed him to say, I'm so sorry, but we had to remove that thread of the film. So yes, there was certainly more. There was more characters in the story. There's more plot, actually, but you just have to. I think it's bursting at the seams as it is. You know what I mean? Like, we did do a 1 hour 35-minute version of the film, and it just didn't work because it lost it sort of lost its way. So yeah, so that was the challenge, was to sort of get it down to a sensible length, but to keep the intricacies of the story, so that hopefully you can get it on the first viewing, but obviously in a second viewing there may be things that you've missed.
Tim, it sounds like you want me to watch this film again and again.
Yes, another 7 times, please.
Now, Mel Gibson is once again terrific in a film like this. But I'm curious, how much of the character was from the script, and how much was it Mel?
Well, it was written as an English sort of Royal Shakespeare Company actor, more like sort of Oliver Reed, Peter O'Toole, Richard Burton, and the character of Alistair Pinch is a dying, is an outmoded person in the industry. It kind of reminds you when Brando, put on weight, went a bit crazy, was taking any film he could, and sort of not really destroyed his legacy, but you know what I mean. It just was a sorry end to a brilliant, the greatest actor of our generation career. So it's important to remember that Alistair Pinch is that guy, and that's why he's slightly heightened. And it was always written as an old old Brit. So when Mel attached, or I knew Mel was interested, I was sort of intrigued about which way he would go with it. I said, "Do you want to play British, or do you want to change it?" He went, "No, I definitely want to do British," because he said if it's American, then it's just an asshole that's on the set. But if it's British, then there's a sort of superiority complex. So Mel was really invested because he played British in Hamlet, so he could nail the accent, but he wanted to ramp it up a little bit, which is why it's slightly heightened, as it were. But when you see some of the quieter scenes, there's 2 scenes where he is being himself, Alistair's being himself, then you see the very sensitive, delicate side of the character. But Mel was terrific. I mean, he's got such range. He's such a sensitive, charismatic individual, very, very conscientious about the performance and getting it right. And he's a director. He's one of the best directors in the world. So he knows when his close-up's coming, put it that way. But he's great. He's lovely to direct. He wants notes, which is great. He's very collaborative, and he owned it. He put some of those lines are his, that he just came up with. I think he loves English accent and puts a lot into it. Very intelligent human.
He certainly is. Well, Tim, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about Last Looks. I'm still debating, the hair and beards between Charlie and Mel throughout this entire movie, but it is a quite enjoyable film.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Nice talking to you.
Hey, thank you. Bye now.
All the best. Bye-bye.